Yep, Yorgos cooked again. I've only recently come around to seeing some of Lanthimos' work, having started with the release of Poor Things and then Kinds of Kindness last year. My biggest takeaway after watching a couple of his films was that, man, this is one weird-ass dude, but damn, he always knows how to leave some sort of good impression on me, even though his movies are the furthest thing away from my type of vibe.
Not really my thing.
And Bugonia is no different, except this time I actually had an interest in the plot. I love the idea of a guy so far down the rabbit hole, he's crazy enough to kidnap some powerful CEO because he was convinced beyond belief she was an alien sent to control and destroy humanity. And we're having to see her navigate out of this seemingly absurd but unwinnable situation, directed by a guy whose style is about as predictable as a Nick Cage performance.
Open my eyes! My eyes! Ah!
Oh, and the two actors for these roles are two-time Oscar winner Emma Stone and Todd from Breaking Bad. Yep. That's all I needed to hear. I'm fucking seated.
One, please.
Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons are the primary reason I had Bugonia as one of my most anticipated movies of the year back in December, and they do not disappoint. Emma Stone perfectly embodies the corporate CEO speak that someone of her stature would naturally try to use to manipulate their way through the negotiation. Stone's ability to speak with such conviction makes you feel like she's always controlled the situation, despite having nothing to her advantage. I loved how well Stone was able to convey Michelle having to constantly reprocess her situation through her confused yet calm mannerisms and eyes that felt like a look into her subconscious. I will not be surprised to see Stone in the running for her third Oscar here, as she gives another spectacular performance that is my favorite by a lead actress this year.
I can't believe it. She's done it again.
Okay. I know I just said Stone gives my favorite performance by a lead actress that I've seen thus far this year, but Plemons undoubtedly gives the better performance of the two. He is just as convincing in his conviction of reality during the verbal sparring matches, with him having to balance Teddy not only keeping a one-up over Michelle in the dialogue, but being able to keep his cousin on board with his conspiracy. As we begin to see the conversation slowly unravel down a more unpredictable and violent path, you are left just as unsure of what Teddy might do next, and if he even believes in all of this, or if it's just a coping mechanism.
What do you believe in, huh? What do you believe in?
This performance is not only extremely complex to convey verbally, but it's also quite transformative physically. From the long, greasy hair to the unkept hygiene that you can smell through the screen, to the extremely slim physique like he's on the Walking Phoenix Joker diet, we see Plemons truly become Teddy beyond just his acting prowess. You feel a sense of unease from this guy that feels like he's been terminally online a bit too long. Plemons has always thrived in small character roles, and I feel like we've all been waiting to see him as the star of the show, with us getting more than we could ever have wished for with him here in Bugonia. I unfortunately think the best actor spot is going to be hard to top Leo in one battle after another for me, but he is right up there, probably in second place.
Nothing wrong with silver.
Nothing wrong with silver at all.
Now, I know there's some of you that are saying that makes no sense when I say Emma Stone would be an Academy Award frontrunner for me right now, but it's more so an indictment on the contenders this year for an award that's been the most coveted and hardest to choose for the past couple years. I'm still pissed about the Lily Gladstone snub, by the way.
California bullshit.
Also wanted to quickly mention Aiden Delbus, who has a major role in the story, also gives a really strong and sad performance as Teddy's cousin / accomplice, Dawn. Like with Poor Things, Yorgos creates one of my favorite visual styles of the year for Bugonia. While not as showy with the fisheye lenses or super vivid color palette, it still has a very dynamic use of color and intense visuals. When the movie takes place outside the house, the world has a very vibrant peacefulness in contrast to the intensity of everything happening around it, which I think ties nicely into the ultimate point of Emma Stone's character making in the end. When inside the house, they utilize a yellowish gradient or hue of some sort from the lights that creates an environment of uncertainty around the situation from both perspectives. It just has a gross feeling of sadness that makes you feel uncomfortable on so many different levels. Yorgos utilizes black and white for some crucial flashbacks that helps understand some of Teddy's true motivations buried under this self-imposed facade of reality, or so we think, as well as adding to the psychedelic nature of the sequences. The story plays out very conventionally for Yorgos through the first two acts, with it primarily being a mental and verbal jousting match between Teddy and Michelle that slowly begins to unravel and goes full Yorgos in the third act. I like that they take the obvious twist you think's coming knowing Yorgos, but first subverts your expectations into thinking it's going another way, only to then pull the rug out from under you when you think it's over by coming through on the reveal in a way I wasn't expecting, but makes the point of the movie hit a lot harder than it would have originally.
You didn't see that coming?
It's definitely a bit of a slow burn, but not in a bad way. Yes, there are a couple of out-of-character decisions, like one involving Teddy and antifreeze for your car, and some misplaced moments like the child abuse cop plotline featuring the worst character from Shane Gillis's Tires that goes nowhere and could be cut entirely, but it never gets to the point where it feels like things were dragging all the way, and the eventual payoff in the last act of the movie more than justified the runtime in spite of a few lesser moments. My only other real issue, if you can even call it that, with the movie is that while I do think Bugonia is one of the better movies of the year, I don't have any urge to rewatch it. While I've thought about the performances and replayed some of its best moments in my head over and over the past day or so, I really don't think I have a need to watch it anytime soon. It's a technically spectacular movie that does a good job of executing on its themes and premise, but I still wouldn't say I found the Yorgos movie that best fits my taste.
It was good, but not great.
Finding a director, whether he's your cup of tea or not, that can consistently put out great movies is becoming harder and harder to find. But I'm glad to see Yorgos Lanthimos is one of the few that does it. He consistently surpasses my expectations in spite of his movies having very little that computes with me and my taste, and against all the odds has gained my trust and attention no matter what crazy shit he comes up with next. Bugonia gets a solid 8 out of 10. The other movie that I wanted to talk about that makes this video a truly Halloween-themed review is Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. I've never been one to get all that excited for anything del Toro has put out, as a lot of other people seem to be, but when I heard that he would be going full Robert Eggers and directing a period-accurate retelling of the original Frankenstein movie, I can definitely say I was interested.
Well, gentlemen, you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
Giving the guy who almost exclusively makes movies about misunderstood creatures finding their purpose and loves himself that gothic horror aesthetic the creative reins to a Frankenstein movie is a match made in heaven. And lucky for us, that perfect match turned out to be as good as we could have hoped for.
A great success!
To not sound like I'm repeating myself the whole video, pretty much everything I like about Bugonia is present in Frankenstein as well, just done even better for the most part in the technical categories. Del Toro does a fantastic job of building out and breathing so much life into this world that you feel like it's ripped straight out of the mind of Mary Shelley. He does a great job of utilizing a dual narrative structure that enriches the story and depth of both our lead characters, unlike another movie that just came out. Del Toro is helped out by his incredible cinematographer Dan Lawson. They know how to frame everything just right, whether it's to fully capture the grandiose scale of the rooms inside the manors or tower through long takes and dolly shots, or showing the breathtaking beauty of the landscapes through wide shots. I love the sharp contrast of the rotting gothic interior of the tower Victor keeps the creature and himself locked away in, and the beauty of everything else around it, as though it's a mirror of both Victor only feeling emptiness and discontentment for the world despite its beauty, and for the creature innocently wanting to love the world, but only being shown the worst parts of it. It's a brilliant way of discreetly showing the sharp contrasts and perspectives of both characters.
I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
I also wanted to shout out the work of composer Alexandre Desplat, as I thought his music was another big reason why I felt so wrapped up in the emotion and believability of the story. I knew Del Toro and co would hold it down with all the technical aspects, but I was pretty intrigued to see what this cast would do with the material, and to no one's surprise, they all nailed it. Oscar Isaac gives one of his best performances as Victor Frankenstein. You never feel like Victor is the true monster of the movie, instead like a man blinded by his own ambitions that has begun to pass down his trauma onto the next generation in the name of science. Isaac injects just the right amount of underlying sorrow, rage, loneliness, and aspiration into the character that makes you understand his longing to have found the love in his life that he feels was taken away prematurely from him with the death of his mother. I was most taken aback by Jacob Elordi, as he gives a truly transformative, star-making performance as the creature. He conveys so much through just his eyes and movement. The way he was able to contort and move his body when he's being kept in the dungeon brought this unnatural but infant-like quality that made you feel like he was truly learning how to do everything for the first time.
Oh, I'm a big baby.
Same goes for the way he would almost look through the simplest of things and see only the wonder in it. All of this really captured the purity and essence of the creature and sells you on the second act reveal. I mean, you gotta give Elordi credit for bringing so much humanity and evoking so much emotion out of me from a guy that's only able to say Victor for half the runtime.
Come on, say something. Anything!
I always thought he did a good job with his roles, but I didn't know he had this in him. Hopefully we get to see him get some nominations come award season, because he's the only other supporting actor this year that's really blown me away outside of Sean Penn. I mostly like the creature design, as it's a more realistic look at how a mad scientist would anatomically go about making a creature composed of corpses, but it takes away from his scare factor considerably.
Oh, scary! Oh, shiver my timbers! Shut up, man!
I never understood why everyone is so appalled and looks at him as this godforsaken monster, when he just looks like a pale guy that got into a fight with Edward Scissorhands. It's more Michael Jackson's Thriller than it is Frankenstein. I also can't be the only one who thought the creature's name was Frankenstein. Not the guy who created him, but what do I know? Outside of the two standout leads here, there are quite a few other memorable performances I wanted to mention. Christoph Waltz brings that polite society charm we've all grown to love of his. Charles Dance is just as dislikable as he was in Game of Thrones, and I mean that in the best way possible. His cold, stern demeanor as he dishes out abuse without remorse acts as the perfect catalyst to hook you onto Victor's worldview and fully understand the situation through his eyes in the first act.
You're horrible! You're an irredeemable monster!
Oh, what took you so long, idiot?
I don't think I've seen Mia Goth in anything before this, but she understood her assignment by giving a quiet and understated performance that acts as the soul of the movie. Felix Kramerer, definitely butchered that, David Bradley, and Lars Mikkelsen did a solid job in their more limited roles. Now, all of this is not to say that the movie is without its flaws, because there certainly were some big ones that I had at the back half of the movie.
We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
While the pacing of the first half is near perfect, I found the second half to drag at quite a few different moments, despite there being a more engaging and interesting vantage point to follow. The creature stowing himself away in the cabin and coming to the realization of who and what he was should have made for the most pure and emotionally resonant part of the film, but I was instead distracted by how poorly executed the story around the emotion was.
How do you fuck that up?
It's awfully convenient that those papers and books, the most flammable shit in the entire tower, didn't burn down with everything else so Frankenstein can learn of his past, while also providing a reason to leave the old man alone. That way we can forcibly manufacture the emotional losing your only father figure cliche moment needed to set the creature down his path to find Victor. I didn't quite understand what the creature was trying to do when they were playing the world's longest game of cat and mouse either. Was he trying to kill him, or attempt to convince him to create a companion, or just make amends? Which was it? Because he let Victor go and started playing mind games with him like he's Freddy Krueger when he had him dead to rights in the tent and could have just had closure then and there. But I guess that would have messed up the dual-sided narrative structure for Del Toro. This review may have sounded a bit more negative than I intended, but I really did have a great time with Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. It's a gorgeous looking, well acted, and masterfully directed retelling that feels in line with what we've come to expect from a Frankenstein movie, but uniquely done in a way that we've never seen before. I'm not a huge fan of period pieces or horror, but when combined and executed to near perfection by a director like Del Toro, you get this year's Nosferatu. Frankenstein gets an 8 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it this far, please make sure to go like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it would mean a lot. I was originally wanting to give my quick thoughts on both of these movies, but considering the timing of their release being on the same day, I decided to watch them back to back and make a double feature review. If you're wanting to see me do more of these double features if other similar movies release together, let me know, because I had a fun time making this. Anyway, that's all I've got. See ya.